Today I got the hardest achievement in Muck, where you need to beat the game using only a rock, taking no damage, and getting no power-ups. This challenge is so hard that most of the community, and the creator of Muck itself, Danny, thought it was impossible at first. It's so hard that there's only one playthrough on YouTube I was able to find on this achievement by two brothers on the channel Muck What the Muck, and shout out to their videos since that's where we got most of the strategies we used, link will be in the description. But to start the run, immediately myself and my friend Purple Hair Guy stopped by some nearby villages. For villages, as long as you don't steal from the special chief's chest or attack anyone, we can take whatever we want from normal chests, getting us tons of gold and materials needed for later in the run. With the money we get, I like to buy yellow soup, which is really good for refilling your hunger bar, and a ton of wood, which we can use to make wood floors and wood walls. Then it's time to make our way over to the Guardians. To beat the game, one of the most important things to get is 5 gems that drop from various Guardians around the map. Here's what our map looked like for this seed, so my plan was to go to the blue Guardian, and Purple Hair Guy could go to the yellow Guardian before we met back up by the 3 closer together Guardians. Also on the way, we would go to these battle totems which spawn 3 buffed enemies, and then trap those enemies using our wood floors. This is important since enemies normally spawn next to you during night, making the boss fights almost impossible since we have such little damage with just a rock. So we want to trap a total of 15 enemies, which will make the game think it already has the night enemies spawned in, so we can play without worrying about them. While the enemies do try to break out, once you get far enough away, the floors stop taking damage, so we're good to keep them there forever. Now it's on to the Guardian fights, and while Purple Hair Guy can just focus on fighting the bosses, I need to use them to mine resources. Since we only have rocks, we can't mine the resources needed to escape the island by normal means with axes and pickaxes, but thankfully, you can use a boss's attack to mine for you, and I like to use this to get Obamia ore, adamantite ore, and dark oak wood while fighting the blue Guardian. Oh, here's also a list of everything we need to collect to fix the shipwreck and escape the island. A lot of it is found from chests, but anything we specifically worry about, I'll mention as we go through the run. Meanwhile, the Guardians have 3 attacks. First is their slam attack, which you can bait by running in one direction and then switching to the other, and then while they're down, you can get your hits in. Next is the swipe attack, which happens really quickly and is almost unreactable with our speed. So the best strategy is to play the fight safe and never go for more than 2 or 3 hits while you're punishing the Guardian for his attacks. And finally, there's the laser attack, where you place a wall down or hide behind a tree to stay safe from. By the way, if you end up enjoying the video, please subscribe to the channel, it helps me with the YouTube algorithm and I'd really appreciate it. Then, after we beat our first Guardians, we want to collect their item drops without touching the power-up they drop. So we can place down some walls to move the materials away, giving us money, gems, and resources like this ancient core that Purple Hair Guy got, another item necessary for fleeing the island. Sometimes you can get unlucky though, and the coin will get stuck in the earth because of its weird physics. Not the biggest deal though, as long as you get most of the money dropped. And between the fights, Purple Hair Guy also turned flax, something you can pick up on the ground, into flax fibers because that's another thing we need. After that, we slowly defeated the other Guardians, and I also made sure to use one to mine 15 firwood and 15 oakwood while we did it, cause that's more stuff we needed for the shipwreck. And that's problem number 1 dealt with. At this point, we traveled back over to the villages, where we could use the gold that the Guardians dropped on a bunch of wood and any other items we didn't get from drops like rubies. Buying rubies is also sad because you need 12 and you can only buy them in stacks of 5, so goodbye to all that money. And all the other materials we just got out of chests, so we were good to make our way over to the shipwreck. Here, all you gotta do is use the various materials you collected over to different parts of the ship, and since these items are consistent between every run, we knew exactly what we needed beforehand. But after hanging out a bit on the boat, it was time for the night 4 boss. Every 4 nights, the game automatically spawns a random boss, and this time it was Gronk. This boss is much more stressful than the Guardians, but we had a lot of practice against him, so it just came down to playing well. Gronk has 3 attacks. The first is his quick slash attacks, which can be dodged by staying away from him and running. Second is where he charges up his sword and slams them into the ground, firing 5 sword beams at you. The general plan here is just be patient and time a jump over them. It looks scary, but isn't too bad. And last, he has an attack where he throws 2 swords straight at you, and this one looks like you're always gonna get hit, but by just running to the side and being fairly far away, it usually won't hit you. Then in general, the main plan is to not overcommit with your attacks and always conserve enough stamina to run away if needed. Yeah, once we had a run where I did get hit because I wasn't paying attention to my stamina, that one really hurt because it was a really good run, but you know, we got this one, and it's even better. It's also very nice having 2 people for this fight, since while Gronk focuses on one person, the other can get in some hits. Still though, we played it kind of passively, since sometimes Gronk's attacks can hit you from behind him, so this boss fight took its fair share of time, but eventually we finished him off, meaning just one more boss to go. But before we got to that, Purple Hair Guy had to go collect some raw meat from cows, since we forgot to do that before, and I had to make a sky base. For this base, you start it on this hut, and place down 4 wood roofs, 2 wood floors, and then 4 wood roofs in the opposite direction to get up high. Then we build 4 floors to the left, followed by 4 floors to the right to be in a good spot. Now if you place down a workstation and a wood floor on top of it, this creates a sky base, which will stay in the air even if you break the wood below it. This means I was then able to build a huge room with walls, a ceiling, and tons of space which we can use for the final fight. I also want to stack multiple floors on these couple of panels, since this way, if they get damaged, the damage is spread through the floors and it causes them not to break. But with that done, the setup was complete, and now we could break the lower part of the structure, which as you can see, our sky base was successful since it stays in the air, and now it's time to fight Bob the Dragon. But unfortunately, Purple Hair Guy can't join me for this fight, since for some reason with the strategy we're using, any player that isn't the host can get hit by the boss. And we lost a run to that, so we're not letting that happen again. Thankfully though, using the /kill command doesn't count as taking damage, so I ended up going into this final fight alone, and I mean at least Purple Hair Guy can watch and take cool shots of what's happening. Now of how we built the sky base, I can chill in the back with the crafting table while Bob is flying around, that way he can't damage me with his fireballs. Then once he perches on the ship, he's in the perfect position to hit in the back of the head repeatedly, extremely slowly taking out his health. The only attack to really worry about is when Bob moves to the left and then does a sweep of the boat, since you can get knocked out of your sky base, so I'll always back up for that, and whenever he leaves his perch, I can go to the back of the base. Oh, by the way, if you ever try this, don't stand too close to the walls. I did that once and got hit. There's a lot of ways you can lose this fight. And one strat we can use to speed up this fight is switching between the 2 rocks in our inventory, so instead of having to wait for the rock's whole cooldown timer, we can get faster hits in. This can be used everywhere, and we did use it a bit on the Guardians too, but it's especially important here, since otherwise this fight would take forever. I mean, it already kinda did, but it'd take even longer than it is right now. Also on night 8, another boss always spawns in, and depending on which one it is, they can sometimes hit your sky base from below the water. But this time, it was thankfully just Big Chunk, who doesn't have any good aerial attacks, so we got lucky there and I didn't need to worry about it. And as we're finishing off Bob's health, one last shout out to the brothers who first completed this challenge. We spent way too long on this video already, learning the strats and getting good at all these bosses, and it would have been even longer without seeing their video. And shout out to Saro, who made a video on the 3 village spawn seed we used for this run. Using a seed really cuts down on a lot more of the RNG parts of the run, and thankfully it still counts for the achievement. But finally, I took out Bob and enjoy our reaction.
Yes!
Let's go! It's done!
Yes!
We did it! Alright, subscribe if you enjoyed. Bye.